Good morning, I am Rhoda Sanoria, and today we will discuss what are logical connectives. So logical connectives are used to join or combine two or more statements to form a new statement. So this is basically written as symbols that are used to combine two or more propositions to create a new connective propositions. So here we have the 5 common logical connectives. First is we have negation. So ang symbols of negation is written like this. Or it can also be written like this. So these symbols are read as not. So the connective word here is not, negation. So for example, if P and Q are statements, if we're going to negate the statement P, it will be written like this. And if we're going to negate statement Q, it will be written like this. So these symbols translate as not P, or it is not true that P, and not Q, or it is not true that Q. The next logical connective is we have conjunction. So the symbol of the conjunction is the inverted capital V. So the connective word here is the word and. Dali na siya mahinungdungan because ang iyang symbol is na represent siya sa capital letter ng A without the bandis na comma. And if we're going to combine two prepositions using conjunction, it will be written like this, using the symbols. And this symbol translates to P and Q. Next is we have the disjunction. So for the disjunction, the symbol here is the capital B. And our connective term here is the word or. And in combining two prepositions, it will be written like this. P, capital letter P, and Q. So this translates to P or Q statements. Next is we have the conditional connectives. So sa conditional connectives, makuha na natin dito ang implying the other proposition to the other proposition. So the symbol here is short na rate. Then ang ato ang connective term here is if and if then. So this is our connective terms here in under some conditional connectives. And if we're going to use the conditional connectives in connecting two or more prepositions, it will be written like this. By symbol of that. And this is read as if P, then Q. And this can also be read as P implies Q. Pwede sa anak, but ang naandar na to is ang atong if, then statement. Then lastly, sa by conditional, ang consonant niya, ang ihang symbol is a line. It stands on both sides. So, wala siya ang symbol sa by conditional. And the statement or the terms that we're going to use here, the connected terms that we're going to use here, is if and only if. So this is the famous if and only if na statement. So if we're going to connect or combine two prepositions using the biconditional connective, it will be written like this. So, and this translates into if statement P, if and only if, statement Q. So those are the 5 common logical connectives. So now, let us try to apply these connectives, use these connectives in given statements. So, for example, write the required statement given the indicated connectives. So let P and Q be prepositions, or P here will be triangle has three sides, then our statement for the Q is the triangle has three corners. So, number one, first is we're going to negate P, statement P. In negating statement P, we should consider the word not. So, ano rin siyang i-translate into negation. So, therefore, ang triangle has three sides will be written as triangle does not have three sides. So our connective here is the word not. So therefore, the statement has been negated. Next is we're going to negate statement Q. So since our statement in Q is triangle has three corners, then ato na siyang i-negate, muhin na siyang triangle does not have three corners. So our term here is the word not. So therefore, the statement has been negated. Next is we're going to combine the two propositions using conjunction. So sa conjunction, kapag ang symbol nga inverted V, this means and. So therefore, ato na siya i-combine ng duha. P and Q. Given that statement P kay triangle has three sides, ato na siya i-combine sa statement Q na triangle has three corners. So mahirap siyang triangle has three sides and three corners. So, mo siya ang atong connected word or term sa conjunction. So, pwede na nato dili balik-balik ang term ng triangle because it is redundant. Also, para dito is okay. Balik-balik term. So, next is we're going to use the disjunction ng connected. So, as you can see, the symbol here is the capital B. So, P or Q. Or ang ato ang connected sa disjunction. So, statement P, let's write the statement P, triangle has three sides. Atong connected terms sa disjunction or has three corners. So our connected term here is the word or. Then next is we're going to imply or use the conditional connectives using the given statements. So P, if P, then Q. So ano yung is what? If a triangle has three sides, then if it has three corners. So, atong connectives ang hikay, the word if and then. So, mo na siya ang sa conditional. Lastly, if atong kanan ang biconditional, if and only if na statement, we're going to rewrite the statement P. First, triangle has three sides. If and only if it has three corners. So that is how so this is the connected term that we use is sa biconditional connectives. So, ingani ang pag-apply sa logical connectives in connecting two or more propositions. So now, let us try to apply those logical connectives sa truth table. So here we have the truth value of the propositions P and Q. So under sa P is we have true, true, false, and false. And sa proposition Q is we have true, false, true, and false. So sa negation, if ato siya i-negate, is ato lang siyang i-transform into its opposite value. So for example, sa statement P, sa proposition P is we have the true, mahimo siya false. Then sunod is from true, mahimo siya false. Then from false, mahimo siya true. Then false, mahimo siya true. So next is we're going to negate the proposition Q. So in negating proposition Q, pareho ra gihapon sa process sa pag-negate sa proposition P. So from true, mahimong false, false, turns to true, true to false, then false to true. So mo na siya ang iyang pattern, mo na ang role sa negation. Next is sa conjunction. So sa conjunction is the two values should be true para resulta kanino true. Like for example, P and Q. If pareho silang true, therefore, ang result niya is true. Pero if ang P kay true, then ang Q kay false, therefore, ang result nila is false. Then if P is false and Q is true, the result will also be false. And if P is false and Q is false, mahimo siyang false. So the rule here sa conjunction is both statements should be true para makakuha ka o result lang nga true. Next is we have the disjunction. So sa disjunction side is we have to have at least one of the statements to be true para mahimo siya. Para ang resulta niya is mahimo true. So for example, the P proposition is true and the Q proposition is true. Therefore, ang result niya sa disjunction is true. Then, if the P proposition is true and the Q proposition is false, ang result niya sa disjunction is also true. Kaya na may at least one of the statements na true. The next, if the P proposition is false, then ang Q proposition is true, therefore, true gihapon ang iyang result. Next is, if both statements are false, the result will be false. So, next is conditional. So, sa conditional side is, we have both statements, if both statements have the same truth value, therefore, ang result niya is true. Or, and also, if the second statement sa conditional is true, ang result sa diya ay true gihapon. Like, for example, P and Q are both true. So, therefore, ang result niya sa conditional is true. And if P, the first statement is false, and Q, the second statement is false, therefore, the result will be false. Because the rule niya is the second statement should be the one who is false or true para mahimong true ang result niya sa conditional. Like parehani, if P is false and Q is true, therefore the result will be true. Okay, ang second statement naman ng Q. So, next is if both statements are false, they have the same truth value, right? Ang result niya is true. So, mo na siya ang role sa conditional. Pero, like for example, if atong baliton, ang statement Q is atong imo ng statement 1. So, may nga siya ang resulta. Q is true and P is true. So, therefore, the result is true. But if if Q is false and P is true, therefore the results will be true because ang second statement here is the statement P. Then, next is if Q, our first statement is true and the second statement is false, the result will be false. And lastly, both statements have the same truth value, therefore the result is true. So, muna siya ang rules sa conditional connectives. Lastly is the biconditional connectives. So, this is very simple. You're just going to determine which statements here or asa ang truth value dali ang pareho sila o ang value. Like for example, if P is true and Q is true, therefore the result will be true. But if P is true and Q is false, the result will be false. Next is if P is false and Q is true, the result will also be false because there's the rule here is both statements should have the same truth value para ma-result siya o true ang sa biconditional. Then lastly is we have if both statements are false, therefore the result will be true. So this is the truth values of the logical connectives if ato siyang i-apply sa truth table.